saving a life and ending up cuffed like a criminal. Maplewood Community Park in New Jersey is the kind of place where suburban families gather on sweltering summer afternoons. Picture it, late July, the thermometer hovering around 90 degrees Fahrenheit. Cicadas droning in the oak trees and a soft hum of lawnmowers in the distance. Parents have set up folding chairs beneath the shade, baby strollers parked under maples, and a handful of teenagers picnic on a patch of grass just beyond the picnic tables. The air smells like sunscreen mixed with freshly cut grass, and now and then, a gentle breeze carries the scent of blooming hydrangeas from a nearby garden. At the edge of the park is a half-acre shallow pool, about waist-high for an adult, ringed by a concrete ledge. Neighborhood kids paddle through the water, squealing with delight, while their parents sip iced coffee from the mobile cart owned by Frank Miller, a retired firefighter turned barista who dispenses espresso, cold brew, and bottled water from a bright red cargo van. On that particular afternoon, 9-year-old Emily Saunders stands at the pool's edge, toes just brushing the rippling surface. She's wearing a pastel blue one-piece that her mother picked out with loving care. 2 years ago, Emily nearly drowned in her aunt's backyard pool. The memory still sends chills down her spine. Her mother, Lisa Saunders, a third-grade teacher at Maplewood Elementary, stands 2 feet behind her, holding a well-loved plush rabbit that Emily clings to. The rabbit's ears have been mended 3 times, and its face is embroidered in places to cover years of wear. Lisa's heart is a tangled knot of hope and fear. She's taught Emily the basics of floating, but hasn't pushed her too far. Today, on a rare afternoon off, she decided it was time to face that fear head-on. "Take it slow, sweetheart," Lisa says, voice trembling. "I'll be right here. If you feel scared, just let go and I'll pull you in." Emily nods once, steeling herself. She takes a deep breath, heat rising from the pavement, and steps forward. The water is shockingly cool against her skin. It runs from her toes to her ankles, then to her knees. In these few seconds, her heart pounds like a drum. Meanwhile, just 50 yards away, 25-year-old ICU nurse Marcus Carter rides his bike along a paved path that curves through the park. Marcus, a graduate of Newark Community College's top nursing program, only moved to Maplewood 3 days ago after accepting a position at Horizon Park Medical Center. He's originally from Newark, raised in a modest row house where his mother, Phyllis, taught him CPR at age 16 and told him, "You'll have to work twice as hard as anyone else, but never let them see you falter." Learning politics and bias was part of his upbringing too. They were subjects he couldn't avoid when his mother, a public health nurse, had to treat patients of all backgrounds and often ran into subtle and not-so-subtle racism at local clinics. Whenever people dismissed her because of her skin color, Phyllis would flash her son a defiant smile and say, "Son, remember, compassion is stronger than prejudice." On this afternoon, Marcus parks his bike under a willow tree whose drooping branches skim the park path. He lifts off his helmet, runs a hand through his hair, and takes a long drink from his water bottle. His white scrubs are already sweat-stained. At the collar, and his stethoscope hangs loosely around his neck. On his uniform, a patch reads, "CPR certified." He closes his eyes to take a slow breath, the hum of lawnmowers fading behind him. Just a peaceful moment, he thinks. "I've worked 18-hour shifts in the ICU, but a day off at the park is exactly what I needed." A single beam of sunlight pierces through the willow's shaggy leaves, glinting off his scrubs, and Marcus feels a brief sense of calm. Suddenly, a piercing scream rips through the park's summer lullaby. "Mommy, me!" The world seems to freeze. The teenage picnickers jump up and dash toward the fence around the pool. Parents clutch their children tighter. 3 older women near a picnic table shove juice boxes aside as they sprint forward. Finally, Lisa Saunders lunges past them, white-knuckling the rabbit plush and shouting, "Emily, Emily, no!" She witnesses her daughter, pale as chalk, face submerged in the waist-high water. In that instant, Emily's arms thrash wildly and then go limp as she sinks beneath the shimmering surface. Without hesitating, Marcus springs from his spot under the willow. His feet pound the pavement as he sprints 30 yards to the water's edge. On the way, his sneakers clip against uneven ground, sending tumbles of pebbles skittering. He doesn't even notice. In his mind, it's the same drill he's done 1,000 times. Identify the patient in distress. Approach confidently, begin rescue breathing and compressions. Get that airway open. Get that heart beating. As he reaches the pool, he dives in. Water splashes around him so suddenly it feels like a bucket dumped over his head. Mud from the shallow bottom clings to his scrubs and sneakers as he wades through waist-deep water. Emily's pale face drifts just beneath the surface. Her eyes are closed, her mouth slack. In his peripheral vision, he catches a flash of Lisa's face. Stretched in horror, Marcus grips Emily's shoulders, lifting her up onto the concrete edge. She's limp, a thin sheen of water covering her skin. He slides one hand under her neck, the other under her knees, and drags her onto the ledge. Her small frame feels icy. He immediately checks her pulse at the carotid, finding none. He pulls a sterile pocket mask from his scrubs, fits it over her mouth and nose, and gives 2 firm rescue breaths. Next, he examines her chest, noting an absence of movement. He sets his palms in the center of her sternum and begins 30 chest compressions, each one at least 2 inches deep. Press hard, press fast. His training echoes in his mind. 1, 2, 3, 10, 11, 12. He counts in his head. After each 30 compressions, he tilts her chin, pinches her nose, and gives 2 more rescue breaths, 30 and 2 to 30 and 2 in those 10 seconds. Everything else fades away. The children screaming, parents hollering, the roar of cicadas. All that matters is the steady red-white pattern of Marcus's hands on Emily's chest. His uniform grows slick with water and mud. Each breath he exhales feels loud. On the 30th compression of his second cycle, as he gives Emily her 2 breaths, her body twitches. Then a low, raspy gasp. Her eyelids flutter open. Emily, Marcus leans forward, gently cradling her head as her eyes flutter once more. Her lips part slightly, and she inhales a shaky breath. He exhales in relief, placing an index and middle finger on her wrist. Her pulse. It's there. Her color begins to warm. She coughs, a weak sound, and then cries out, "Mommy!" Her voice is hoarse but unmistakable. Just then, the park's chaos turns into a cacophony of shouts. Mrs. Valerie Reynolds, the retired school teacher who'd brought her grandson to feed the ducks, calls out to no one in particular, 911, 911. There's a black man assaulting a little girl, her voice cracks. In her mind, seeing an adult black man leaning over a young white girl in the water instantly conjured anger and panic. She fumbles for her phone and dials 911 with trembling fingers. Before anyone can process what's happening, 2 Maplewood PD squad cars screech into the park. Their lights flash red and blue in quick bursts, painting the water's surface in electric strobe patterns. 4 officers tumble out, weapons holstered but poised. In the uproar, no one hears sirens because the concrete and trees amplify the screeching rotors of a medical helicopter approaching nearby. The officers race forward, step away from the victim. Hands where we can see them. Officer Daniel Brooks barks, his voice a harsh command. He grinds to a stop a few feet from Marcus, recoil shadowing his features. The other officers fan out, their eyes scanning the scene with suspicion. Marcus stands frozen, one hand still on Emily's shoulder. "Officer, please, I was just saving her life," he says, voice taut. His chest still quivers from the exertion. "Brooks." Levels a hard stare at him. "Step back now." He repeats, holstering his flashlight in one hand and reaching for the cuffs with the other. Marcus steps away slowly, boots slipping on mud, but he turns only an inch toward Emily. She's breathing. "Now," he protests, "I just finished CPR. Hands behind your back," Officer Lisa Grant orders, overriding him. In one swift movement, 2 officers converge on Marcus's wrists. Metal handcuffs snap into place with a final click that echoes through Marcus's cleavage. He presses into the waterlogged carpet of mud and grit left behind, blinking as shock ripples through his body. No! Lisa Saunders screams from the side. She's wading through a crowd of horrified parents, tears streaming down her face. He saved my daughter. He taught CPR. Ma'am, stay back. Officer Brooks says, stepping between mother and daughter. He yanks Marcus up by the elbows. Marcus's head lolls back, sweat and mud dripping from his scrubs, as lights from the squad cars reflect off his face. He hears children whimpering and sees Emily's wide eyes fill with confusion. She reaches out a frail, trembling hand. Nurse! He saved me. Even in chains, Marcus gives a small, reassuring nod. Yes, Emily, I'm okay. 2 paramedics finally rush forward, pushing the stretcher under Emily. As the EMS techs wheel her away, her small shoulders heave and sobs. Lisa Saunders drops to her knees, clutching the plush rabbit to her chest, calling out, "He's a hero! He saved my daughter. Please don't do this." But the officers pay her no mind. Marcus is dragged away through a crowd silent with shock. The only sound is the distant whir of the arriving helicopter and the rattling of handcuffs on his wrists. He's shoved into the back of a squad car, slammed into a hard bench seat. The door slams shut. As the car peels away, the park remains. A swirl of confusion. Children cling to parents. Phones record the scene, and somewhere the low pulse of a monitor beep from Horizon Park can be heard. Marcus Carter is booked into a small holding cell at the Maplewood Police Department. The room is 8 feet by 8 feet, walls of peeling institutional white paint, a single flickering fluorescent tube overhead. The floor is cold gray linoleum. He sits on a hard metal bench, wrists prickling where the cuffs dug into his skin. His shadow is kicked across the grimy linoleum floor. Outside, officers gather behind a closed door, murmuring in low tones. Inside, under the harsh flicker of the overhead light, Marcus closes his eyes and inhales a slow, steady breath. He can still feel Emily's tiny body resting against his chest, still taste the cool slap of lake water. I saved her life, he reminds himself, and now they're treating me like a criminal. A moment later, the steel door creaks open. Detective Amanda Lee steps in, wearing plainclothes and a look of controlled empathy. She carries a file folder thick with documents. "Mr. Carter?" she says gently, pulling up a folding chair across from him. "I'm Detective Lee. I've reviewed preliminary reports from Horizon Park Medical Centers. ICU Dr. Sanchez confirmed that the bruising on Emily's chest is consistent with proper CPR compressions, not an assault. I also have audio from the 911 call and eyewitness testimony from the EMS crew. I want to hear your side of the story." Marcus uncuffs himself once the booking officer unlocks the door. His wrists are red and stinging. He pulls his arms behind him, testing his range of motion. Then he exhales slowly. "I was walking my bike in the park my first day off in weeks when I heard a kid screaming. I ran over, saw Emily floating face down. I dove in, pulled her out, and did CPR. She was pulseless. I gave 30 compressions, 2 breaths. After the 3rd set, she let out a gasp. At that moment, someone, Mrs. Reynolds, yelled that I was hurting her. Next thing I knew, I was cuffed." Detective Lee nods, jotting notes. "We also have Dr. Sanchez's statement. No signs of malicious injury, only CPR bruises. Your own certification documents, your CPR training history dates back nearly a decade. Thank you for clarifying. I'll begin the process to have these charges dropped immediately." At Horizon Park Medical Center's ICU, Dr. Maria Sanchez stands at a monitor next to Emily's bed. The room is dim, lit only by the gentle glow of the vital signs machine. Emily's breathing tube has been removed, and she's resting on supplemental oxygen via nasal cannula. Her pulse reads a steady 90 BPM, O saturation 98%, and the CT scan of her head shows no signs of intracranial bleeding or major brain injury. Each beep of the monitor is reassuringly rhythmic. Lisa Saunders hovers beside her daughter, pale but relieved. Dr. Sanchez leans in, gently addressing Emily. "You did great, kiddo," she says with a warm smile. You're Tough little fighter. She turns to Detective Lee, who stands just outside the clear ICU door, taking notes. Her neuro checks are all normal. The bruising on her chest is classic CPR compression marks, no signs of inflicted trauma. We'll keep her overnight for observation, but I expect a full recovery. Detective Lee nods, grateful. That's all I needed to hear. Thank you, doctor. Lisa Saunders turns to Emily, tears in her eyes. Mommy's right here, baby. You're safe. Emily nods weakly, drifting into a drowsy smile. The next morning, Maplewood's local news vans line the entrance of Horizon Park. Harrowed Live's saved nurse, wrongfully arrested, reads the banner of the Maplewood Times truck. Reporters lean out of windows, cameras rolling as Marcus. Carter, wrists still bruised, steps through the automatic doors dot inside the lobby. People pause mid-stride to watch him. Some face away, ashamed. Others offer hushed apologies. A nurse with tears in her eyes places a sticky note on his locker that reads, "So sorry," in shaky handwriting. Marcus walks past the nurses, station, and enters Dr. Gregory Ellis's office. Dr. Ellis, a tall man in his late 50s with silvering hair, looks up from his paperwork and arches an eyebrow. "Nurse Carter," he says, voice low. But he trails off, realizing the gravity of the situation as he glances at Marcus's still visible wrist marks. "I was just doing my job, sir," Marcus says quietly. "Saving Emily's life was all I cared about." He turns and exits. Down the corridor, Nurse Angela Willis hurries up behind him. She used to find every opportunity to criticize him. Now her eyes are rimmed with tears. "Marcus, I'm sorry," she whispers. "I judged you before I knew the facts. I hope you can forgive me." Marcus hesitates, then nods. "Thank you, Angela." We all need to learn from this. High above Maplewood, in a gleaming high-rise, overlooking the city skyline, Robert Hayes reviews the security footage on a widescreen monitor in his private office. The office smells faintly of cedarwood and scotch, the leather couch facing. A floor-to-ceiling window. A collection of framed degrees and awards cover one wall. Another wall holds a makeshift shrine of black and white patient care photos from various hospitals he's overseen. He watches Marcus's every move, how he dived into the water, how each compression was textbook perfect, and how he knelt for more than a minute straight without pause. Then he sees the moment when Mrs. Reynolds shouts, and the officers tackle Marcus as he presses on Emily's chest. In that instant, Hayes' jaw tightens. He picks up the phone, Detective Lee. He says, without introduction, voice low but firm, "This is Robert Hayes. I want you to expedite that case." That man's name is Marcus Carter. He's an ICU nurse. "Drop the charges now." Detective Lee responds, "Yes, Mr. Hayes, we have the medical reports. I'll file for immediate dismissal." Of all charges, Hayes hangs up, silencing the monitor. He reaches for a decanter of scotch, pours himself a glass, and ponders the power he wields. "I won't let this stand," he murmurs. That afternoon, Robert Hayes' black SUV glides past the front gates of Horizon Park Medical Center. Security waves him through, recognizing his license plate from months ago when he purchased a controlling interest in the hospital. The valet team springs into action, though they remain professional and unflinching. Everyone knows not to question their benefactor. He strides through the main lobby, past a row of blue and green scrubs and a banner reading Horizon Park United in Care, driven by compassion. Dr. Gregory Ellis steps out of his office, posture stiff and face drawn. "Mr. Hayes?" the doctor says. Robert Hayes stops him with a calm finger in the air. "Dr. Ellis, this matter of Nurse Carter being arrested for saving a child unacceptable? I reviewed the security footage. He was performing CPR. I need you to arrange an immediate full review of departmental policies. Specifically, how we handle emergency rescues, how staff respond to bystander reports, and how we ensure no qualified caregiver is treated like a suspect." "Do I make myself clear?" Dr. Ellis swallows and nods once. "Yes, sir." Hayes glances toward the nurse's station, where Marcus Carter walks past, steely-eyed yet still bearing faint scars on his wrists. Also, he adds, I'm convening a meeting at 4 p.m. with every department head mandatory attendance. We need to talk culture and bias training. When staff hear my voice, they'll understand the stakes. Dr. Ellis catches a glimpse of Marcus disappearing into the hallway. He exhales, realizing he has no choice now. At 4 p.m., the main conference room is packed. White-collar executives, nurse managers and scrubs, a couple of techs in polo shirts, and ID badges all crammed into a room meant for half this number. The walls are lined with charts promoting patient satisfaction scores. The long mahogany table is dotted with water bottles and coffee mugs. Light streams in from tall windows, illuminating urgency on everyone's faces. Robert Hayes stands at the head of the table, hands folded behind. His back. On his left sits CEO Michael Bennett, a genial man in his 50s who has managed the hospital's day-to-day operations ever since Hayes' acquisition. To Hayes' right sits Marcus Carter, still in his scrubs, a hint of fatigue under his eyes but a resolute set to his jaw. Hayes calls the room to order. Thank you all for coming. My name is Robert Hayes. My family owns a controlling interest in Horizon Park Medical Center. I'm here because of an appalling event that occurred yesterday. A staff member, Nurse Marcus Carter, saved a 9-year-old girl from drowning, only to be wrongfully arrested. That will not stand. He pauses, letting the silence wash over the room. Faces shift. Some blanch, some eyes widen in shock. I have reviewed security footage and medical reports. It is unequivocal. Marcus administered proper CPR, and he prevented brain damage in that child. Instead of gratitude, he was treated like a suspect. We will not allow that kind of prejudice here. Hayes turns to Dr. Ellis. You will oversee an immediate review of all emergency response protocols. We will rewrite guidelines if necessary to ensure staff aren't second-guessed when saving a life. Dr. Ellis nods, sounding smaller than before. Yes, Mr. Hayes, I will begin that. Review. Hayes continues, effective immediately. I am forming a diversity and inclusion council to oversee our hiring, promotions, and incident response policies. This council will be co-chaired by Marcus Carter because his ordeal has shown us where we fail. Any staff member, doctor, nurse, tech, housekeeping, cafeteria, security found guilty of discrimination or harassment will face strict disciplinary action up to and including termination. We will not tolerate bigotry of any kind. He faces Marcus. Mr. Carter, please say a few words. Marcus stands slowly, awareness of every eye on him. Thank you, Mr. Hayes. In the ICU, every second counts. Yesterday, I acted without hesitation because that little girl's life was on the line. I never expected to be treated as a criminal for doing my job. I hope that by sitting on this council, I can help create an environment where healthcare providers act without fear of reprisal, and where patients feel they will be treated with dignity regardless of race or any other factor. We can and we must be better. The room erupts into applause. Some staff members turn to one another in astonishment. A few executives exchange glances that say, "This is real. We have no choice now." Under the clapping, a new energy simmers. This is a turning point. Over the following weeks, a series of changes ripple through Horizon Park. Mandatory bias and inclusion training, all 800 employees, doctors, nurses, technicians, custodians, dietary staff are enrolled in a week-long workshop on unconscious bias, cultural competency, and respectful communication. The sessions are held in shifts throughout the day, so patient care continues uninterrupted. In a large conference hall, employees sit in chairs arranged in a semicircle around a screen. A trainer stands beside a podium explaining, implicit. Bias is not about labeling anyone as good or bad. It's about acknowledging the automatic mental associations we all develop. The presentation includes interactive exercises. Staff members watch short reenactments of scenarios like a patient who doesn't speak English or a nurse making a snap judgment about a parole officer admitted on a gunshot wound. Then participants break into small groups to discuss how a microaffirmation, such as using a patient's preferred name, can make a difference. Nurse Angela Willis sits near the back, absorbing every word. In a breakout session, she confesses, "I used to find Nurse Carter's confidence unnerving. I thought he was trying to show up the rest of us. But now I realize I was reacting to my own insecurities and biases." Her group nods. A few others share quietly that they, too, discovered they had made assumptions they hadn't recognized. Anonymous resume reviews. The Human Resources Department revamps its hiring process to remove names, addresses, and any demographic data from resumes before initial screening. Stack after stack of resumes are redacted, leaving only job history, education, certifications, and a blind-coded candidate number. Panels of diverse interviewers are assembled: 2 nurses, a technician, and an HR specialist for each open position. During a hiring panel for a new respiratory therapist, a candidate's resume, labeled Candidate 1024, reveals exceptional credentials. Panelists discuss clinical skills, patient communication strategies, and ask scenario-based questions. They vote purely on merit. Only after a candidate is selected do they see her name, Alena Santos, a bilingual Latina with 10 years of experience. She makes history as the first single mother hired for that role in years, and within weeks, she has earned universal admiration for her dedication. Safe. Anonymous reporting, a secure, cloud-based portal is launched so employees can confidentially report any incidents of discrimination or harassment. Each complaint is automatically auto-generated a case number and forwarded to the newly formed subcommittee: Marcus Carter, Dr. Nina Patel, an endocrinologist, and James Lee, a nursing educator. The subcommittee agrees to investigate all complaints within 48 hours. A dedicated HR liaison ensures that the complainant's identity remains masked. When a longtime nurse aide is reported for repeatedly muttering racist slurs at a New South Asian technician, the subcommittee convenes a private hearing. Video footage is reviewed, statements taken, and the nurse aide is required to attend intensive cultural sensitivity training. When a second incident is reported a month later, the aide's contract is terminated, sending a clear message that harassment will not be tolerated. Word travels fast. Morale rises and tensions ease. Launch of first responder kids. Once the internal culture shift is underway, Marcus Carter and Dr. Maria Sanchez spearhead a community outreach program with Maplewood Elementary. Each month, 4th and 5th graders are bused to the hospital's education room. Banners over the doorway read, "First Responder Kids, saving lives, one beat at a time." The classroom is set up with child-sized mannequins, training AED kits, and large flip charts showing the steps. 1. Call 911. 2. Check for breathing. 3. Begin 30 chest compressions and 2 rescue breaths. The kids arrive in bright yellow t-shirts, chattering excitedly, a handful of chosen medical-themed book bags. Others grip the corners of laminated handouts, knuckles. White Dot Marcus, wearing his scrubs and a broad smile, addresses them. "Hello, everyone. I'm Nurse Marcus Carter from Horizon Park. Today, you will learn how to save a life if you ever see someone collapse and can't breathe. Step 1. Call 911 and calmly say your name, your location, and what's wrong." He pauses so the kids can repeat in unison. "Hello, my name is _ I am at Maplewood Elementary, and my friend is unconscious." Cheers and giggles ripple through the rows. Marcus continues. Step 2. Place your hands in the center of the chest. Press down about 2 inches at a rate of 1 and 2 and 3 and 1-100- and -20. After 30 compressions, tilt the head back, pinch the nose, and give 2 rescue breaths. He demonstrates on a mannequin each compression, accented by a loud shoop as air escapes the dummy's mouth. Emily Saunders, now 10 years old and healed from her near drowning, stands beside him as the program's kid ambassador. She's wearing a lime green t-shirt that reads, "I saved a life." She steps up to a mannequin and says, "My name is Emily Saunders. I'm here to teach you that anyone, even a kid, can help." She crouches by the dummy, positions her small hands correctly, and compresses 30 times. Shoop dash shoop, the children gasp with wonder. Now I'll do 2 breaths, she says, placing the mask over the dummy's mouth and nose, puffing. Air in gently. The kids clap. During the Q&A, one boy raises his hand. Marcus, what if someone refuses to help because they're scared? Marcus leans down to meet his eye level. That's a common fear, but you can always talk to a trusted adult first. And remember, every second counts. Most people will appreciate that you're trying to help. A girl in the front row declares, I'm going to teach my grandma. The crowd breaks into excited chatter. Locals filming on their phones capture these moments, and by evening, First Responder Kids, Maplewood's New Heroes, is a trending story on local news websites. Within 6 months of Robert Hayes' intervention, the transformation at Horizon Park Medical Center is undeniable. Staff satisfaction. In an annual survey, 89% of employees report feeling respected and heard, up from 62% the previous year. Patient satisfaction. Nearly 95% of patients say they feel treated with dignity. A record high for the hospital. Diverse hiring. Departments that were once 80%. Why are now more than 40% diverse across race, ethnicity, and gender? Annual awards. At the hospital's yearly gala, Marcus Carter receives the inaugural Dr. Hayes Compassion Award for his leadership in the Diversity and Inclusion Council. Emily Saunders is also honored with a Young Community Hero Award for her work with her peers. In the ICU wing, Dr. Priya Nirnau, chief of the department, addresses a staff gathering. 1 year ago, Nurse Carter was falsely accused for saving a life. Today, I'm proud to stand beside him as a colleague. We now have a culture that truly values compassion over bias. Thank you, Marcus, for reminding us why we chose this profession. Nurses cluster around Marcus afterward. One elderly nurse, Mary Delgado, grips his hand. I judged you at first, son. I'm sorry, thank you for making me see differently. Marcus smiles, placing a gentle hand on her shoulder. We're all learning, Miss Delgado. One crisp autumn evening, as the sun sets golden over Maplewood, Marcus Carter drives home to his small apartment, 2 rooms. Sparse furnishings, a single bedroom, and a desk that doubles as a dining table. The apartment smells faintly of espresso. From his morning coffee, and a stack of medical textbooks teeters precariously on a corner shelf. On his desk lies a framed photograph, Phyllis Carter, beaming as she pins his first CPR certification ribbon on his chest at age 16. Another photo shows him in his nursing school scrubs, tassel swinging, diploma in hand. He walks over to a small table against the wall and opens a worn photo album. The pages are filled with snapshots. Him as a boy, wide-eyed with a stethoscope. That was actually a toy. Photos of him graduating top of his class. And a picture of his parents at his nursing pinning ceremony. He flips to a page with a blurry snapshot of his first week at Horizon Park, taken by a coworker, a group of new nurses smiling awkwardly. He recalls that day, how Dr. Ellis had looked him up and down, then turned away without a word. At that moment, he thought, maybe I made a mistake coming here. But now he sees the difference a single act can make. His phone buzzes, a group chat. Notification from the Diversity and Inclusion Council. Meeting at 6 p.m. tomorrow to plan community workshops, it reads. He sets the album aside, sighs, and prepares dinner. Just a simple bowl of ramen and some leftover grilled chicken. His mind drifts to Emily and how she's now teaching her little brother and neighborhood kids basic hand placement for CPR. He smiles, picturing her determined face as she coached her classmates at Maplewood Elementary. Meanwhile, across town, Robert Hayes reviews quarterly reports on Maplewood's patient satisfaction scores. A chart shows a steep upward curve, 2019 to 62%, 2020 to 75%, 2021 to 89%. He leans back in his chair, hooking his thumbs behind his belt loops. He remembers why he bought Horizon Park. He'd visited his parents' local hospital as a child and saw how quickly people with connections got priority over those who needed care. This place didn't deserve to waste anyone's life, he tells himself. Now he's determined to replicate the changes at other hospitals in his network. He taps his pen on a notepad. Next up, Elmwood Regional D&I Plan Implementation Q3. A year after that fateful afternoon in the park, Maplewood Community Park hosts a First Rounder Kids Year 2 event. The shallow pool's concrete edge is lined with 50 child-sized mannequins, each with a child hovering anxiously. Over it, the sun has dipped low, casting long shadows from the oak trees. Parents hold their phones high, filming as each group of kids donning bright orange t-shirts takes turns practicing their newfound skills. Banners flutter in a gentle breeze. Next generation hero training. Marcus Carter stands to the side, watching intently. He's wearing a navy polo that reads Horizon Park Proudly Saving Lives, jeans, and his badge clipped to his belt. He grips a binder containing volunteer rosters and thank you notes from local schools. Up on the podium stands Emily Saunders, now 10 years old, confidently demonstrating her technique. First, remember, make sure the scene is safe. Then call 911 and give them the location. Next, put your hands in the center of the chest, press down about 2 inches 1, 2, 3. UP to 120 beats per minute. After 30 compressions, tilt the head back, pinch the nose, and give 2 breaths. That's it. You just saved a life. Watching Emily in action, Marcus's chest tightens with pride. Around him, he can see Mr. and Mrs. Saunders cheering on their daughter, Dr. Sanchez nodding approvingly, and Nurse Angela Willis wiping a tear. Even Dr. Priya Nair steps out of the crowd to clap. Off to the side, a local reporter interviews Marcus. Nurse Carter, how does it feel to see your program expand? Marcus smiles, holding up his badge. It's the best feeling in the world. If a single event can bring a community together, break down bias, and teach our children to help others, then we've done something right. I'm just grateful I could play a part in it. Behind them, a mural now graces the park pavilion wall. A diverse group of caregivers circled around a beating heart, with the words, Maplewood United in Care, driven by compassion. Beneath it, a brass plaque reads, In honor of Nurse. Marcus Carter and young hero Emily Saunders, whose courage sparked a wave of change. Which moment resonated with you most? Was it the split-second decision that led Marcus to perform life-saving CPR? Emily's bravery in teaching her peers? Robert Hayes' unwavering stand for justice? Drop your thoughts below. And if you believe one act of compassion can reshape an entire institution, please subscribe for more stories of unexpected heroes and hard-won change. Thank you for watching.